Debbie Owusu-Akyeeah from the Canadian Centre for Gender and Sexual Diversity. Debbie, the NHL has been trying really hard to take a hockey is for everyone approach in the past few years. How does what happened last night set things back?
It's an excellent question. For a lot of people who've been advocating for the safety and support and inclusion of LGBTQ people within sports, we know that it's still an arena, especially with professional athletes, where a lot of people don't feel comfortable coming out. There's a lot of research and data, even for young people who are even engaging in sports within school, that there are challenges for LGBTQ people. And that becomes a problem when those who are in positions like professional hockey players who make statements that are problematic. It just shows that there's still a lot of work to be done when it comes to inclusion, and that amongst the big pushback and the big backlash we're seeing on LGBTQ issues, that sports still remains a challenging area for us to do this work around LGBTQ inclusion.
What do major organizations like the NHL need to do to make sports a safe space for participants and fans in the LGBTQ plus community?
I think it starts with partnership, and it starts with partnering with organizations who have been leading the work around LGBTQ inclusion within sports, specifically around making sure that coaches and managers and players are all doing the necessary work to ensure that the NHL as a whole, but hockey as a whole, is safe for everybody. I saw some of the responses from coaches, including the coach of the team of the player in particular. And what that showed me is that there's still a lot of work that needs to be done around letting players have their own opinions or make certain statements at the expense of being inclusive. And so I think with proper formal partnerships with organizations like Play As You Are or with the CCGSD, there would be that ongoing training so that folks are really aware of how important it is to be careful with the words that you say, and that statements as simple as even just wearing a Pride warm-up jersey, what statement that does share to people who are watching the sport. We want to make sure that hockey and all sports are accessible to everyone, and it starts with these small acts, and proper partnership with LGBTQ organizations is the way to go. For me, I look at, again, even just religion and a lot of the work that's being done in religious spaces and specifically Christianity around the fact that Christianity has often spoken about being a place for people who are marginalized, and that using religion, despite what people might think, can be an excuse, really. We know that there's been a lot of work done in religious spaces around inclusion. And so I know some folks who are religious who would say the opposite thing. And so I think when we use that as an excuse, we take away from the fact that there are so many messages around inclusion that should be prioritized from a religious standpoint. And so that we need to be really careful when we want to allow people to use that as a means to further bigotry. It's actually more harmful than people actually think.
What do you say to an LGBTQ plus youth looking to get into hockey or just sports in general?
I would let them know that there are so many athletes, those who are allies, but even LGBTQ athletes who are out there who are amazing possibility models. Find those people. They absolutely exist, and they're actually super brave to take the risk to be out. And as a woman athlete and female athlete myself in the LGBTQ community, if it wasn't for so many out women in rugby, I wouldn't have been able to be as out and as loud as I am. And so look for those people for sure.
Thank you so much for joining us, Debbie.
Thank you so much for having me. Take care.